All right, so we're diving into industry this time, specifically that wild season 3 finale.
Yeah, no kidding. This one was a doozy.
Seriously, even for a show that thrives on keeping us on the edge of our seats, this finale was something else.
Absolutely.
And you know me, I love a good twist. And after hearing your take on this one, I knew we had to break it down.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
For sure. We're working with Emma Fraser's recap over at the Daily Beast, which, by the way, is spot on with its analysis.
It's a good one.
So let's jump right into it, because this finale wastes no time throwing us back into the thick of it. We pick up right where we left off, with Eric's intense speech to try and save Pierpoint. But expert speaker, it's so much deeper than just a speech, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, on the surface, it's classic Eric, right? All about ambition and playing the game. But what the writers do so brilliantly here is they use his speech to deconstruct that very ambition. Like he's literally referencing a short story, admitting he's stealing lines.
Right. It's like he's letting us in on the performance, almost winking at the audience.
Exactly. And that's what makes industry so compelling. It's not just about the world of finance. It's about the stories we tell ourselves to justify our actions, the games we play to get ahead.
Okay, so hold on. Back up a sec. You mentioned the short story he references, Largesse of the Sea Maiden, right? What's the significance there? It feels deliberate that the writers chose that specific story.
Oh, it's absolutely deliberate. And this is where things get really interesting. That short story, it's all about mortality, legacy, what we leave behind. And considering how this finale plays out with so many characters facing their own sense of purpose or lack thereof, well, let's just say it adds a whole other layer to Eric's words.
It's giving, be careful what you wish for, but on a much grander scale.
Exactly.
And speaking of legacies, can we talk about Yasmin and the whole family drama that explodes in this episode?
Oh, man. Talk about a tangled web.
Seriously.
Family's always been a factor in industry, but in this finale, it becomes everything. The article even quotes a line, "What network do you have? What family?"
Ooh, I remember that line. Chilling.
Right. It highlights this brutal reality of their world. Connections are currency, family ties are both a strength and a weakness.
And sometimes, those connections can be more dangerous than any deal. Which leads us to Yasmin's storyline, because things take an interesting turn with that road trip. One minute she's grabbing gas station snacks, the next she's at some manor straight out of Bridgerton.
It's a brilliant juxtaposition, isn't it? It really is. You've got Robert, who's totally out of his element in that setting, and then you've got Yasmin, who's, well, she seems almost drawn to it.
Right, it's like she's caught between two worlds. On one hand, you have the raw, almost primal energy of her connection with Robert.
And on the other, you have the allure of legacy, of power that comes with someone like Henry.
And she's trying to figure out which path to choose.
Exactly. And the show does such a great job of visually representing that struggle. Remember that scene where she's walking with both Robert and Henry?
Oh, yeah.
The article pointed out how it's edited almost like a horror movie.
Now that you mention it, yeah, there's this underlying tension, like something bad is about to happen.
Exactly. The filmmakers knew what they were doing there. They wanted to show us the risk, the danger that comes with the choices Yasmin's facing.
It's like that feeling you get when you know you probably shouldn't go into the basement, but you do it anyway, and then bam, that proposal scene with Henry.
Oh, don't even get me started on that ring.
Seriously,
Yeah.
talk about a power move. To propose with a ring from her dead father, that's next level. What was your take on that?
Honestly, it sent chills down my spine. Like, on the surface, it seems like this grand gesture steeped in family history, right? But knowing what we know about Yasmin's father, his ruthlessness, his manipulation.
It takes on a whole other meaning.
Exactly. It's like she's inheriting his legacy. And not just the ring, but the ambition, the ruthlessness, everything.
And wielding it like a weapon.
Yeah.
Almost like she's saying, I learned from the best and now I'm coming for everything. And just when you think the episode has peaked with that bombshell, it throws us another curveball.
You mean the time jump?
The time jump. 6 months later, and the game has completely changed. America, new ventures, it's like a whole new playing field for these characters.
Yeah, that time jump definitely threw me for a loop. But, you know, in a way, it makes sense, right? New setting, new rules, almost like a clean slate for these characters.
Totally. Like Robert with his new look, for example. It's like he's trying to reinvent himself.
Well,
And Harper, too, chasing after that new venture in America. The article even hinted that this could be setting up a whole transatlantic storyline for next season.
ooh, interesting.
Right. It's exciting.
Yeah.
But it also makes you think about whether you can ever truly outrun your past, even with a fresh start.
Yeah, you're right. Some things have a way of catching up to you no matter how far you run, and for some characters, that reckoning is more brutal than others.
Rishi's storyline, for example. I'm
Yeah.
still reeling from that scene with his wife and the loan shark.
Intense is an understatement.
Seriously. Talk about a gut punch. It's a reminder that beneath all the glitz and glamour of high finance, there's this undercurrent of danger.
Absolutely. And what I found really interesting was how the episode juxtaposed that raw violence with the almost subtle way we learn about Bill Adler's fate.
Oh, you're right. It's almost easy to miss amidst everything else going on.
Right. It's like we hear he's gone, but the circumstances are left intentionally vague. Was it his illness or something more deliberate?
It's never explicitly stated.
Exactly. And that ambiguity actually makes his absence even more haunting, especially when you compare it to Eric, who ends up, what was it, $20 million richer. It makes you wonder about the true cost of ambition of success in that world.
And then there's Yasmin. After everything, that final scene on the yacht, she's clearly unraveling, but then that moment with the hug.
Oh man, talk about an emotional gut punch.
Right. For a character who's built so many walls around herself, it's this unexpected glimpse of vulnerability.
And that's what makes industry so brilliant. It keeps us guessing, keeps us hooked, even when the characters are making morally questionable choices. The article made a good point about that, actually. It argued that it's those raw human moments that elevate the show beyond a typical finance drama.
Totally. It's why we keep coming back for more. So after that roller coaster of a finale, expert speaker, what are your final thoughts for our listeners as we anxiously await news of a season 4?
I think this finale wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. It set up a whole new set of questions, new power dynamics, new challenges for these characters, like what are the new rules of the game? Can someone like Yasmin, someone shaped by this cutthroat world, ever truly change?
So much to think about.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, I think the big question after this deep dive is, what are your predictions for the future of industry? Hit us up on social media and let's keep the conversation going. Until then, thanks for diving deep with us.